Hey everyone, welcome to Encounters USA. If it's aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot, or dogmen you're looking for, you came to the right place. Now listen up as we listen to some of the latest encounters. Hello everybody and welcome to Encounters USA. I'm your host, author Matthew Hines. Today we have a great special episode. We went out into the field with the UFO iTeam up near Mount Baker, Washington, and we have a lot of things to show you. We packed up the truck and we drove north until we hit Baker Lake. So let's park the truck and let's join the action with the UFO iTeam. Well, I'm going to have to admit right now, in hindsight, I was skeptical. First of all, I was skeptical because when I got outside, it was very dark. I mean, dark cloud dark. And as I looked to the north and drove further north, the clouds got darker and darker. The other reason I felt skeptical about the whole thing was that I had no idea if anybody from the UFO iTeam still planned on going, considering the conditions. And if they planned on going, how I was supposed to meet them once I got up there. We are out in the field right now. We are just a little ways from Baker Lake, and we are with at least one member, two members actually, because I've been incorporated, of the UFO iTeam. So right here, we have Mr. Lee Strauss. We've got the rigs all here, and we got the tent set up, and we are getting ready to go check out the lake and set up equipment. So Lee, we got a couple problems today, and the first one seems to be weather. Pretty overcast.
Yeah, but it's no big deal. I think we're going to be fine anyway. There's lots of stuff that comes below the clouds. There's a lot of things that are going on in the woods around here. I don't see an issue with this at all.
Okay, what are we hunting for?
Just about everything, right?
Okay.
So, but in the past in this area, I mean, we've had some Bigfoot stuff going on with some crazy noises in the woods while we're doing our sky watches. So it's definitely a hot spot for that as well. And there's lots of lights in the sky out here.
All right.
Yeah.
So is anybody coming out besides us?
We've got Dave Mason coming on the way out from the UFO iTeam. He's another one of our tech guys. He's got an incredible array of night vision gear and some crazy telescopes, but it looks like tonight we might not need the telescopes.
All right. Yeah. We might need I don't know what you do to get through clouds, infrared or something.
We do have 2 FLIR cameras. Yeah,
I'm not surprised. Not surprised. Once I found Lee, I was a little bit more assured. But because of the weather and the changing conditions and the fact that it really looked like it was going to start raining, and I didn't see how this sky watching thing was going to happen, I wanted to make sure I got some boat time in looking for Bigfoot out there on the side of the lake.
So I got my gear set up pretty much. Dave's going to set up all of his stuff here, his thermal night vision stuff, and David will do a fantastic job of catching anomalous things in the sky like he always does. So we're definitely looking forward to seeing what you can catch tonight. Especially with the cloudy skies, I'm hoping that you can actually pull something out of there that I will not be able to. So,
Yeah.
So,
Oh, you're not talking.
And then Matt, you're going to head out on your boat, out onto Baker Lake. I think it's a 4-mile long lake, or what do you think?
Well, I'm gonna go out about 4 miles probably.
4 miles anyway.
Yeah.
And you're gonna use what tool out there?
Yeah. Well, Dave's gonna let me use his FLIR handheld. Can you tell me what this is again, Dave? Handheld?
Yeah, it's a handheld thermal imaging camera. Detects heat sources. It's an E for FLIR.
Okay, and what's the range on this?
It's indefinite. It depends on how massive it is. So if it was a Bigfoot, it would be several hundred yards away. You'd be able to detect it.
Am I going to be able to see it in the trees and all this thick vegetation?
Yeah, just before
Okay.
it gets you.
All right. Well, I'm going to go hop in the boat then, and we're going to see if we can't find a Bigfoot out there.
Absolutely.
Once I got my assignment to go out onto the lake and actually patrol for Bigfoot somewhere along the side of the lake, I asked my colleagues at the UFO iTeam if they cared to join me. And I got a resounding no. So I knew I'd have to do this mission on my own. Now that the UFO iTeam had a plan, it was up to me to get out into the paddle ski and go out and do my recon of Baker Lake. Now the paddle ski is a 2-pontoon boat and motored by a Torpedo electric outboard. It can run pretty much all day if you don't put too much strain on the engine. So we're going to have a lot of endurance, a lot of ability to go a long way and do it cleanly and environmentally safe. So now we're just going to head out across the lake. And as you can see, we're actually starting going to the left, but we are going to go to the right or the south side to start. Well, as you can see, it's pretty cloudy. And those clouds up there, they don't look like they're bringing any sunshine. So we're just going to go take a look around and see if we can't find some nice little cove where Mr. Bigfoot might be hanging out. So right now we are going across the lake. We're heading for that little cove right there. Now all along this lake, there are a number of these little coves where any animal can come down and get something to drink and be relatively protected from being seen by any other predators, creatures, or even people. So we're going to go over to that little cove right there where that boat's just passing by and see if we can't check some things out. So we're getting a little bit closer to our destination over there in that little cove. So we're moving in a little bit closer. And just to give you a little zoom out. Okay, now as we move into this cove, I just want to show you a little bit of the environmental damage. If you can see over on that bank, the constantly draining and lowering the water level of this lake, you can see that it's kind of creating kind of a bathtub effect where it's very difficult for any animals to come to any part of this lake and drink. They're all forced to come either to the man-made sections or to these little coves where basically they're kind of funneled in, channeled in, and these are a great place for predators to just hang out and wait for anybody coming down to get a drink of water. So I'm going to slow down the motor a little bit, and we're just going to drift on in here, and we're going to see how far we can get in. We'll shut off the motor and see if we can't see any Sasquatch signs of Sasquatch, or anything unusual. But it really is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area. So definitely Sasquatch country. Definitely a great place to hide, and definitely a great place to just sit and relax for a few minutes and just kind of check things out. But it is beautiful, isn't it? And there you have it. Nice and peaceful. So we'll just listen and watch. Okay, I'm still in this cove, and I just heard, I don't know what it was. There was some kind of vocalization behind me. It was just a quick, "Rah!" And probably was a duck or something, but it's very quiet in this little cove, and I just want to see want you to see what it really looks like here. So if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can see the lovely greenery behind me. And hopefully, because I can't see very well because it's behind, I hope there's no Sasquatch sneaking up on me, but it'll sure make a good video if there is. But this is what we're doing right now, and just kind of looking at this little cove and seeing if there is anything worth noticing. And I'd sure like to see what that noise was. It was a roar kind of thing. It didn't really sound normal. It sounded like one of those Bigfoots. So who knows? So I'm going to sit here for a few minutes and then move on. Now, I'm not sure where the smudge came from. I didn't even notice I had it until after I had returned home and started going through my photos. I saw that in a lot of my pictures, I had a smudge right underneath my nose. I could not figure out where it came from. All I can remember is that when I was over in this cove, I heard a strange and funny noise, and then I returned back to use the facilities, and when I was leaving, possibly I might have picked something up on my anchor rope. But other than that, I could not understand where I could have picked up this smudge. It was a real mystery, and it followed me for some time, at least until the rain washed it off. All right, so I found out what that strange noise was. It was people up there on the bank. Well, not Bigfoot this time anyway, but maybe next time. So I've been sitting here in this little cove for about 10 minutes, and because there's people nearby, I think it's probably not going to be very good for trying to see if there's any Sasquatch around here. So I think I'm going to mosey on up the lake. I'm going to be heading in an easterly direction, and then I'm going to loop around and go back to my starting point. So that is the plan anyway, and we will see how things go. While out in nature, doing my report on nature, I suddenly felt the call of nature. Therefore, I felt I should return back to the boat launch because there was no way to get out of the boat anywhere nearby. So I made my way back to the boat launch, where I promptly bounced off of the dock thanks to the upwelling of water coming from the dam, and then I slowly made my way to Lee Stroud, where he was actively eating some kind of lunch, I would take it. And so we had a little conference. We conferred about the weather. We conferred about the outlooks for the day. And we conferred about the prospects of finding Bigfoot out on the lake. So it was a lot of conferring, and let's join in and see what's going on.
Looks like we got some rain coming in.
Do we officially?
Watch what that looks like from the coming in from the west right now.
Oh boy, that doesn't look good. Well, gotta get back out on the search for Bigfoot. Back to the boat. All right. Now, looks like we've got a lot of rain coming in this way. So we're gonna try to get our last little outing in the paddle ski before it just goes crazy here. Everybody is on their boats trying to get out one last time, and that's what we're trying to do. So we'll see what happens. So here we go, and we'll try to beat the rain or hope it doesn't come. All right then, back on the Bigfoot hunt. And I'll just show you really quickly what we're doing. I'll turn this off and turn it on again. Once I left the safety of the boat dock, I had to be more cognizant of my surroundings. As you can see, Baker Lake is fairly large, and things can get wild and crazy in a heartbeat. And so as I looked at my surroundings, I noticed there were a couple of younger kids on paddle skis, not really concerned too much about the weather. I thought, well, if they're not concerned, why should I be? And I wasn't. And so I made my way into a pretty serious rainstorm.
Definitely raining. All right, well, we are in the lake. We are getting some swells here, and it is raining. So we are just trying to actually scoot across. We're going to go cross the lake and hit a couple more of these coves, and hope that the rain doesn't hit too much. But right now I've got the poncho, I've got the boonie cap on, and just trying to make my way. I'm just looking around here trying to find a passage, but it looks like I'm going to head back across the lake, so I'll give you a shot of that real quick. We're going to mosey.
Now, with the weather turning like it was, I had to make a few decisions. I didn't know how much battery I had left in my motor. The weather was turning south, and I was very far away from my starting point, so I always had to be aware of the weather. This lake gets very, very choppy in the event of high winds, and I certainly didn't want to get caught in that, nor did I want to get caught in high winds having to paddle my way all the way back to the boat launch, which would have been very difficult. So I had to be more and more aware of my surroundings as I looked for Bigfoot.
All right, so we are starting to hit some fog and probably what could technically be classified as a squall. So getting a little bit more rainy here, and I'm glad we came up to do some sky watching because I don't think we're going to be seeing much of any sky, but better get this phone away before we find out how waterproof it isn't. All right, so I think we're just gonna mosey on across the lake for a little while, but definitely got to put the electronic equipment away. Here's another little entry for us. We are coming up on a little cove here, and we're going to stop and take a break. The rain's let up a little bit, but not too much. So we're going to stop up here, take a little break, and then I think we're going to head back across the lake. But we'll see. Right now I'm going to give you a shot of the cove we're coming up on.
So we are trying to get across the lake as fast as possible, and we have lost our audio a little bit, so I've just used the home audio to supplement this part. But here we're looking at a serious shot of the lake and a lot of thunderheads and storm clouds. Not thunderheads, but storm clouds moving in.
Right, well, we don't have a lot of time before the rain starts again. We've got a little bit of a reprieve for the past few minutes, so we're kind of just parked here, kind of by the edge of the lake. It's fairly quiet here, no people. So we've just been sitting here, listening, hoping something would look around the trees or give us a little indication there are some Sasquatch here. But so far, not a whole lot. Just the sounds of sweet Baker Lake. The wind is coming up from behind us, so pretty soon we're going to have to start heading back to the boat launch, and we're going to have to see what Lee is up to, see if he's had any luck gathering any more members of the team. But we're just out looking for Sasquatch, and it looks like we're just going to get more of old Mr. Washington rain. And it's starting to come down a little bit harder now, so I better put the equipment away. On what is probably the marshiest part of the Baker Lake area, and as you can see here, This would be a very easy way to come in, get next to the lake, and still be concealed. So I just want to show you the difference in the vegetation. What we were looking at before was the south side of the lake, and now we're looking more at the north side of the lake. And as you can see, it's quite a little bit different terrain, actually a lot different terrain. More of flat. Back far that way, you would see Mount Baker. And then as you can see, we still have a rain squall coming in on us, but we have got a little bit of a break in the clouds. So we're just cruising along here, and we are looking at pretty much the marshy swampland. If you were out on the road, I believe you are, I can't say for sure which campground. I think you would be near Horseshoe Bay, but I'm not exactly sure. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to close in here to the cove a little bit closer. You can't get too close because of the snags, they'll get your propeller. But I'm just going to go around that corner up there, and I'm just going to look and see what's there, and then I'm going to start working my way back to the boat launch at the Colshan Dam. So that's the plan, and we'll see how things go. Okay, we're a few, maybe about half a mile farther from where we were last time, and we are just coming up on not only another rainstorm, but we are coming up on more of this marshland and a little bit of change. We're getting into some more trees, but I just want you to see that this area here is very approachable on foot. You've got nothing behind you for, literally till the Canadian border. So lots of places for lots of Sasquatch to hang out here and literally never ever be detected. And if this isn't good Sasquatch weather, I don't know what is. But it is just a really wet day today, and it's so ironic that we came out here for sky watching. Believe it or not, we are making our way back across the lake. I think I have made 2 or 3 trips across. I guess I know I've made 2 trips across. And since I haven't washed myself up, I would be a dirty double crosser if I weren't such a great guy. But no, we are going to make one more trip across here. We've got another opening in the sky before the rain comes in, and I want to give you a shot of just how beautiful it is up in those mountains. So we're hopping back and forth one more time across Baker Lake, and we're moving from north to south for all you geography fans. Oh, we made it to the other side, and this is what the other side looks like. So we found ourselves once more in one of these coves, and to some people it might look a little bit creepy, but it's nice and quiet. See how quiet it is when I'm not talking. Just drifting along next to the creepy, rooty tree floating in the water, looking for Bigfoot in them thar hills. So can you see anything? I see a nice cedar tree, but no Bigfoot. And we are going to mosey on in. We're just kind of drifting into this cove here, which is really kind of cool. The only thing is that I don't think we're going to be able to clear this log here, which is about a foot out of the water because my propeller is going to catch it. So that's probably going to be the limit of our going into here. But it is a nice, quiet place, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on the podcast, then you can just imagine a really beautiful, pristine lake
And you can imagine trees and a nice little cove, and the water is just off dark green. It's just beautiful here and so quiet. And the rain is picking up again. Great. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a situation report here. We are sitting in this nice little cove. It's quiet, but again, there's another storm moving in, so we're going to get some more rain here in a few minutes. In fact, it's starting right now, so most of the time I've been doing this video, you've had the motor in the background, so I just wanted to stop and give you just a little bit of a situation report on what's happening and what we expect for the night. I'm out here looking for Bigfoot, and Lee is back at the boat launch waiting for the rest of the UFO iTeam. And I'm out here just kind of doing some patrolling and kind of showing you the lay of the land here. And I know that Lee has some Bigfoot encounter stories, so it kind of helps you to understand what the place looks like when you're hearing these stories. But I can't really stress how magnificent the terrain is here, the land, the beauty. I mean, even today it's raining. It's been raining basically since I got on the boat, and it was supposed to be nice. It was the weather forecast was partly cloudy, and it started raining as soon as I got on the boat. So not the greatest thing, but just as if you've been watching the video on YouTube, then you can see that there's really it's so beautiful here. And it's nice because I'm just wearing a pair of shorts, and I have a tank top on underneath I have a t-shirt on underneath my life jacket. And then I've got this cheap, $5 poncho on just to keep the rain off, but I'm perfectly fine. And I've just been cruising up and down the lake, actually crossing back and forth, looking at different things and showing you different places where a Sasquatch would come if they wanted to access the lake for water, fish, or other game. So my plan is now I'm probably made my way maybe about 3 miles up the lake, and that's just crisscrossing back and forth and then meandering up the coast. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just stay on this side of the lake, and I'm just going to work my way back over to the boat launch. And probably by the time I get back there, I'll be pretty low on my battery anyway. And we'll see if the rest of the UFO iTeam is there. And so tonight, I just want to let you know what's going on in case, different things happen, whatever. And I don't want to lose you in all the action, because it's the Encounters USA. This is also an Encounters USA podcast, along with the UFO iTeam. So they won't be seeing this little bit on the UFO iTeam, probably. But depending on who comes, I guess we'll figure out what we're going to do for the evening. I myself am skeptical as to how much Bigfoot washing that you could actually do. It's my mother's birthday today, so I'm going to have to at some point run down to where I can get a telephone connection and call my mother so I can wish her happy birthday. And other than that, if these guys are going to stay and watch the sky tonight, which is full of clouds, then that's going to be interesting. I will come and I will see, but if I don't see a lot happening, and if I don't see that there's going to be a lot of results in it, I probably won't spend a lot of time at night watching it. And I tell you, I am disappointed, because I come out camping because I like to see the stars at night. And this is probably the first time I've been camping in the rain ever. I mean, since like the 90s, maybe the late 80s. I have not been camping in the rain, except for one time it rained out on us in Yellowstone. There was a squall, and there's a whole video about that on another channel of mine. But anyway, that wasn't really like a Washington rainstorm where it lasts for 3 days. So we're just going to have to see how it goes.
But right now we're having a great time sitting on the side of Baker Lake, kind of bouncing around. I'm got a log right here on the side of me, and in the background you can hear the water kind of swishing from a boat that went by a few minutes ago out on the lake. But other than that, the lake is it's not really windy at all. The lake is like glass, and it really makes it nice for my little electric motor because it doesn't use a lot of electricity, and that means more fun for me. So I guess that is it. I'm going to pick up this camera here, and I just want to show you a little shot of where I'm sitting. Hope I don't put my phone in the water, but this is actually where I'm at, and hope you can see that. I hope you can see the water there. And then go out to the lake, and then back to me. All right, guys. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to put this thing back down again, because I'm on my little paddle ski. This is not like a lot of room here. So there we go. Now we're just kind of rocking back and forth. I hope that doesn't make you seasick. We've got the lake behind us now, so we're going to work our way past this tree and work our way back to the boat launch. So that's what should be happening for the rest of the evening. Again, I hope that things are happening, and I hope we get a lot of nice footage, but once again, I am skeptical, and we'll just have to see if things happen right, because they insist that they'll be able to see stuff. So if not, well, at least we got to see a nice little tour of Bigfoot country here on Baker Lake. And there are, if you just look at the BFRO website, there are so many sightings here. And tonight I'm going to try to get Lee and Dave. I think Dave was with him when they had a Bigfoot encounter. We'll try to get that on our video as well, so be kind of cool. All right, well, it looks like I see the sun is just poking up there, but it's going to get clouded in, so I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to start working my way back to... By this time, I had been out almost 3 hours, and it had been cold. I was wearing basically a swimming suit, and my legs were bare, and I had a poncho over me. And the whole time I'd been sitting out in the rain, and obviously I was sniffling from the very beginning, and it was time to start working my way back to the boat launch. So, as I told you before, I had crossed from the north side of Baker Lake to the south side, and now I am just going to meander along the coast and look for Bigfoot in the forest right next to the lake. And so I'm going to meander rather slowly, keeping the engine on a pretty quiet mode, and so that nothing's really going to hear me coming unless they're very close to me, which I'm far enough away it wouldn't be easy to do that. So I am just meandering along the coast, and I am coming up onto one of the very last of the major coves that are on Baker Lake, and this one happens to be possibly one of the most beautiful. So let's take a look. So we're coming up on what could be a very likely spot that you would have a Bigfoot, because what you have here is you have a creek, a fairly large creek emptying into the lake, and there is also adequate access to the creek and the lake right here. I just want you to get a good look at this area here. This is a very nice location, and it is an ideal location if you want to look for Bigfoot, because what you have is you have a creek right here, you have access, and then you have steep terrain all around it. It's good for getting in and out, and unlike a lot of the places around the lake now that they put up the dam, it's not been bathtubed out, so you still have access without like a 3 or 4 foot drop into the lake. So this would be a very likely hangout if you're going to be looking for Bigfoot, especially at night. So here's just a little shot of where we have come from, where we're going, and the weather that is still moving in on us. And we're slowly kind of drifting backwards here. So, but pretty nice area.
And so after checking out my last likely Bigfoot location at the cove, I made my way across the lake and back to my point of origin, the boat launch, where the rest of the UFO iTeam were waiting for me to start the evening's activities. And boy, was it going to be a doozy. Once the lakeside search for Bigfoot was concluded, I was a little bit reticent, having wanted to stay out there just a little bit longer to test the limits and see if possibly a Bigfoot would show up in the late afternoon. But it was not easy, and I was to make my way back to the boat launch to continue our search that night through the skies for our friends, the aliens in the UFOs. Dave Mason explained to us about his FLIR cameras.
Okay. All right, Lee, you want to give us a little, you got a lot of equipment here. You want to give us a little
Rundown on what I've got.
Yeah, what do things do?
Okay, well, let's see if we got it in the camera here. We got my big setup going. So I've got my, this here is the camcorder, but
Okay.
it's been fixed, or the processor's been replaced by Cleveland Paranormal. So this is a Cleveland Paranormal video camera, and this one is a full spectrum camera. Then I've got the Psionics Aurora on here, full color night vision camera. And I've got the Luna 60, which is another full color night vision camera. This is a 6X. And I've got the newest Luna. This one Vladimir gave us, gave the UFO iTeam, which is awesome. And it is a full color night vision, a 6X as well. And this is a Gen 3 from them. So
this is brand new.
brand new. This
Wow.
is going to be the first night that we get to use it.
Okay, and so if you've watched any of the UFO iTeam's videos, you go back between the Psionic and what's this other one?
The 60?
Yeah.
The Luna 60?
Luna.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Psionic one has a very wide angle. Which one is that?
So the Psionics is got the widest angle that we have. That's basically it's what we view basically. So it's a very large field of view, and the rest are, like I say, they're 6X view. So
Okay. So Luna, think you could shoot the moon? I guess because Luna is moon.
yeah,
So
but you're not reaching out that far.
oh, you're not. But this is a closer shot. It's not the wide angle, right?
That's
so.
correct.
How do you set up your shots? Do you go wide and then focus, or focus and then wide?
Okay, so these three cameras are going to be running congruently. You know, all cameras are facing the same targets in the sky, depending on where I move the tripod. But these three cameras are recording all the time. If we have a stationary object in the sky that we can observe, then I'll flip on this guy right here, the full spectrum camera, because I want to see if there's other that's giving off any other light that
Right.
that our human eye can't see. I want to be able to record that sort of thing.
Right. So you cover infrared. You cover
Ultraviolet,
okay. So
Some.
wow, infrared to ultraviolet. Wow. Okay.
some ultraviolet, yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, that's very interesting. And then what are the screens for?
So I've got two phones down here. One is for the Psionics, and the other one is running Sky Guide on an Apple phone, an iPhone. It's Sky Guide tells me what stars are there. Also, it can tell us about what satellites are floating around, or they say rockets on them, but they're not actual rockets.
Yes.
They're just the boosters from the rockets, but it'll say rocket 253 or whatever it is. So we get to figure out what is out there that we're looking at in the night sky.
Okay. All right. So
obviously, I haven't shown the panorama yet, but it's cloudy tonight. Is this stuff going to be able to do the job in a cloudy environment?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay. You think we're going to be able to pick stuff up?
Yes.
Okay. And what's this? We got
Okay,
some stuff
yep.
behind me, so I'm going to move my camera a little bit,
Right.
and then
So what I have here is the 7D, the Canon 7D, and I use this a lot for astrophotography. It works great for capturing the night sky. It's on time lapse, and I can stick it in a direction, very wide field of view with this lens that I've got. So it's a great camera.
So why would you use time lapse?
Okay, so in time lapse, if you remember seeing any of the photos that kind of come out recently, where we have squiggly lines in the sky,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
we don't,
Yep.
it could be craft, right?
Yep.
So that's what these guys or this camera's catching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Long
the
exposure.
thumbnail on the interview I did with you on my podcast, that thumbnail, there's a little squiggly line I pointed out that I used for that. So that's where that came from. Great.
That's correct. Same with this camera here. This is the Sony A7 III, which is actually probably the best camera on the market right now for capturing starry skies. And so this is new to the UFO iTeam, this camera. So we're hoping for good things with it.
Wow. And it's a Sony, it must be good.
Right.
All right, well, that's
And
great.
that's not all.
That's not all.
No.
That's not all.
That is
Whoa, I
not
didn't
all.
even see this monstrosity.
This here is the
Man.
Nikon P1000. This thing has a 3,000 millimeter lens on it. So I can zoom in on the moon so much that you can almost see individual craters. I mean,
Wow.
good sized craters. But yeah, that's fantastic. That thing is an awesome piece of equipment.
Wow. I don't even want to ask you how much that is.
Actually cheaper than you would have think.
Really? And this is a nice Rode mic.
My Rode mic, yeah.
All right. Wow. Great stuff. And obviously top of the line, high-tech gadgetry. So hopefully we can put it to good use tonight. Looks like it's kind of clearing up.
It will clear up.
So,
Absolutely.
all right. Well, there you have it from the weatherman. Okay. Well, we've got one more UFO iTeam member is getting his stuff set up right now. Dave Mason. Dave, you're not the rock star, right? You're different.
I do play guitar.
Okay. Well, not that Dave Mason, in case you're locked in the 80s like some people. But Dave, are you ready to go? You're going to give us a little briefing on.
Sure. Yeah.
Holy cow! I'm looking behind you. Look at all that stuff. Okay.
So what I'm setting up here are two FLIR thermal cameras. They detect long-wave infrared wavelengths that we can't see with our eyes, but they'll detect heat sources or even sources that are cold against a cold background. And the object here is just to point them in two different directions of the sky and record video and hopefully capture something anomalous tonight. It's expensive technology, but it does something that we can't get from conventional cameras, and conventional cameras can do things these cameras can't do. So
Okay, so I'm going to ask you: is this the same image that when you see the military UFOs?
Yes.
That's a FLIR.
Yes.
That's the same thing.
same technology.
Okay. So when your image that you capture, it looks like that.
Very similar to it.
Okay.
Actually, I'm running these in color mode, so the ones that they're often using in the military are monochrome. So the color just helps to enhance the contrast between temperatures.
Okay. And most important question for tonight: can it see through clouds?
Depending on the temperature gradient, but yes, it can.
Okay.
If you have a higher temperature behind it.
Okay, so you're still looking for heat.
Yeah, in case of it, or something that's above the temperature of the clouds.
Okay.
If it's below the temperature, it won't detect it.
Okay.
Because the wavelengths are 10 to 20 times longer than our visual, so it
Okay.
gives us some extra details.
Okay. And what's this high speed? Is that the same thing?
No, they're both FLIR cameras.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
one of these is one where you can emit your light.
Oh,
and-
no,
and
that's on
create a
another
set.
machine. I
That's
have not set
another
that up
one.
yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I'll be setting that up.
Okay. All right. Well, so great. That's a nice little setup here, and I see all this stuff behind you. As we got ready for an evening of sky watching, we noticed that the sky was acting very strangely, especially this remarkable sunset that appeared, and noticed the unusual cloud formation in the middle of the photograph. As we got ready for the evening, we couldn't help but wonder what wonders were ahead of us that night. We also had to wonder if those clouds were going to dissipate. But as we have seen, the UFO iTeam has got the technology to see right through those clouds and to see any kind of heat or light signature that might present itself in the sky. That was going to make for a very, very interesting evening as the sun set over Mount Baker. And we got ready for the night at Baker Lake in Washington State.
Just don't want your wieners to
Good.
burn.
Nobody does.
So that's actually being transmitted on that light source. So the light is fluctuating in intensity with the music.
Wow. Okay.
So we're broadcasting that into space.
Wow.
So if I take it off there, you can try aiming it yourself, and then you can see. And that's off axis, and then that's on axis.
Wow. Amazing.
So it doesn't have to be guitar music. It can be voice. It can be, anything. It's just anything that's audio.
So where's it going?
Right now, I'm just transmitting. This is just a light source, so we can just go into space.
Anywhere the light's going.
Anywhere we want to aim it.
Okay. Wow.
And the object is, since UFOs are at least documented under NASA footage and in the STS and the space shuttle, they often record anomalous objects in space that are showing fluctuations of light. And I got the idea that perhaps they're actually sending out a signal or trying to communicate with us with light and not using radio waves. And so hopefully by transmitting guitar music or something similar, that it would provoke some sort of a curious response from them. And
is there any way that you can pick up their light signal and decipher that?
either if I record it, so these binoculars I have can actually take that, and then the other step I can do with the binoculars is to not only listen to what they're transmitting, but I have a built-in defocused laser that is modulated by the amplifier within these binoculars, so I can actually transmit back the signal that they are transmitting. So in essence, kind of mirror it back to them.
Wow.
But it'll be in a laser format and defocused, obviously, because we don't want to point these things inadvertently at pilots, if they're mistaken for UFO, and see if we can elicit some kind of a response from them.
Amazing.
I think if they receive a signal that echoes what they have just sent, that would have to confirm some sort of an acknowledgement that we understand their technology, and maybe they want to get a little closer so we can have some kind of contact or photograph.
Yeah. Well, if that doesn't bring them in, I don't know what else will.
I don't know,
because I'm sure they're going to be curious as to who's doing that down here. So
yeah, I agree.
It's going to be interesting. Going to get some real interesting results from it, I'm sure. So, all right, great. Well, thanks for that, Dave.
Sure.
Having got a rundown on the equipment that is available to the UFO iTeam, from their FLIR technology to their optimal optics that sends sound waves in the form of light that reconvert back to sound waves, it was almost too much to even understand, but unbelievable that this technology even exists. But there it was before me, so I couldn't wait for the night to begin. and this technology to start to take effect and to send out some signals to some UFOs. After a night of sky watching, I returned to my camp roughly about 1 o'clock in the morning, only to find a herd of at least 24 teenagers camped in the campsite next to us, and they did not go to bed until 4 o'clock in the morning, spending all of the night yelling and screaming and laughing and doing what teenage boys and girls do as loud as they could. So it was a pretty rough evening, coming home that late and not being able to get any sleep. I thought the best thing to do was to get up in the morning and to do a short video of how much it really stank staying at that campground with those kids next to me, and then talking about what happened the night before, which was not much. We did see one really good anomalous object, and it was incredible. It came across the sky, one single light flashing at 6-second intervals, and we saw lots of aircraft and nothing like that. So, considering the fact that a lot of the night it was cloudy, there were some breaks in the clouds, and at that point we were able to see with our naked eye what was up there. But with the equipment that the UFO iTeam has, they're going to have a lot more footage, and they will post that footage on their website at ufoiteam.com and on YouTube. But for a podcast, I don't really think it's going to go over very well, so I'm not going to post any of their footage on this podcast. So I'm going to say goodbye to the campground at Colchan near the boat launch at Baker Lake and head on down the road. So it's been a really, really interesting time, and I really can't say that I'm disappointed. I mean, even having seen one really anomalous craft was really something, and made the whole trip worthwhile. But there was also the breaks in the clouds where you just saw all of the stars in the sky and the Milky Way with no lights to interfere from a city, and it was really an amazing, amazing time. But like all good times, this one had to come to an end as I loaded up the truck and made my way out of that campsite. The only thing I wish I had was that my horn was working. So I made my way back on down the road. And lo and behold, what appeared before me but Bigfoot himself, or maybe herself. That's right, and then I saw a whole family of them. Well, maybe it's not the Bigfoot I was looking for, but it's pretty darn close, because I found that there is a Bigfoot Marble Mount Festival in Marble Mount, Washington, and that's happening on August 31st and September 1st. So you can be sure Encounters USA is going to be there looking for Bigfoot with the UFO iTeam. So, if you're in Marble Mount, or if you're in Baker Lake, or if you're in any place where there might be some strange goings on, remember, always watch your back. Thanks for listening to tonight's show. Please remember, if you've had an encounter, we want to hear about it. Go ahead and email us at encountersusa1@gmail.com or contact us at encountersusa.com, our website, and go to the contact form. All right, everybody. Until next time, be careful out there. And if you're out in the woods, watch your back.